Thank you for calling the Royal Mint. Please note that in order to improve our service, calls may be recorded for training and security purposes. To speak to a commemorative coin customer services representative, please press 1. For payment-related inquiries, hello, you're through to Liz. How can I help?
Hello there, Liz. I wonder if you can. I want you to help me win £5,000, if hopefully.
Oh gosh, right, okay. And how can I help you win £5,000?
Okay, so there's a question online. I thought you might have gone, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but you haven't. So obviously I might be one of the first people to ask you. There is an online question, and if anybody can answer that question, they can win £5,000. And I thought the best place to answer that question is ring up the Royal Mint direct. So,
Oh my gosh, right, okay.
So the question is, if the Royal Mint are under contract with the Treasury to make a set amount of 2018 A to Z 10 pence coins, and the Royal Mint put that set amount, which is apparently 210 or 220,000 of each coin, on a lorry to go then to a cash handling centre. That the way it works?
Right, okay. Let me find information on
So the question is, if that's how it works, how does the Royal Mint have tens of thousands of A to Z 10p's in their tills? Either they've not got on the lorry, or they've made extra, and that's the question. And I want to try and win it, so I thought I might get your help and ring you direct.
Right, okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe I've got the information to hand, but let me just pop you on hold and I will try and assist further.
Thank you ever so much.
It's an online competition, is it? Where is it listed? Can I take that information from you?
Yeah, sure. It's on YouTube.
Question in front of me. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. How can I give you the? Let's see what I can find. Let me just bring up my iPad. And I will be... Are you in front of a computer screen?
Yeah, I've got my computer in front of me now, yeah.
So if you bring up YouTube...
Yeah.
And then type in the search, £5 and a comma, £5,000, so £5,000.
Comma, £5,000, yeah.
Coin tuber, so coin and tuber, 2 words.
Yeah.
And then / collector challenge. That should be enough. I can give you the whole title, but that should be enough.
All right, and a fellow with glasses and Royal Mafia.
That's the one.
Mafia.
That's it.
Right, 2 moments, because I don't know if I'll just try and see what information I can give out. 2 moments. Let me just pop you on hold.
Thank you.
I'll be as quick as possible.
Thank you.
Hello, sorry to keep you waiting.
Hi.
We've had a bit of contact regarding this, so an official response has been drafted. Do you want me to send you that via email?
Yes, please.
Or do you want me to read it to you over the phone?
Both. Can you read it to me?
Yeah, so like all other retailers, the tills in the Royal Mint experience are supplied by the bank. The Royal Mint supplements this with a small selection of promotional coins, such as the Great British Coin Hunt and 10 pieces. This promotional activity is funded by the Royal Mint as an added touch for our visitors.
Okay, that raises some interesting questions. So, so that means then, so are you saying that you kept some back from going on the lorry, or that you made extra for your promotional?
No, it's saying that we purchased some back from the Treasury. So that's saying that for promotional activities, the Royal Mint has actually purchased coins from the Treasury.
So there would be an invoice then supporting that somewhere. I mean, because the Royal Mint's a public company, so that invoice and receipt would be public because it will go into your tax records, etc. Because you'll be claiming tax relief on the fact that you've just bought some 10p's from the Treasury. So there would be a paper trail for that, wouldn't there?
I should imagine so.
So how does one
answer that question? I don't know. This is the official statement that's been given. So, like all of the retailers, the tills at the Royal Mint experience are supplied by the banks. The Royal Mint supplements this with a small selection of promotional coins.
A small selection, but they've had tens of thousands in through the tills, in hundreds of thousands in the last 6 months that I know of myself. I mean, I've been down there myself, and this is why this question is so hard to answer, because we're all trying to work out how it's done. And nobody seems to want to be honest enough to sort of, I mean, I get what you're saying, and that's fantastic. You're being really helpful. But if you can appreciate, no one wants to really say, well, how is this being done then? Because you're saying it's a small amount of promotional items to put in your till, but what's classed as a small amount?
I mean, I can't answer the specifics for you. That's our statement, and that's the only information that you will get from the Royal Mint.
And that's the only information that the Mint will give out?
Official statement that has been produced, and that's the only information that we have been given to go back with.
So as a, because is the Royal Mint a limited company now? What is the legal status of the Royal Mint, if I might ask?
What do you mean, what's the legal status?
Well, it sort of used to be for about 1100 years. It was sort of part of the government, part of the royal family or whatever, wasn't it? But then about 4 years ago, its legal status changed. Didn't it become but I don't know what it is. Did it become a limited company or a PLC or something along those lines?
Right, 2 moments. Let me get you the information, because I'm relatively new to the Royal Mint, so I'm not sure that I can answer these questions, but I will try. So 2 moments. Let me just get that information.
Okay, thank you.
Hello there. So we are a wholly owned government company.
Wholly owned
government company.
Government. And how about the Royal Mint experience? Is that a wholly owned government company, as in part of the Royal Mint, or is that a separate legal entity, as in a limited company?
I believe that the Royal Mint experience is a separate entity, but let me just double check that for you again. 2 moments.
Thank you.
Okay, so it was initially set up as a separate entity, but it's all been brought under the same umbrella as the Royal Mint.
So it was a separate...
The Royal Mint experience, when it was introduced, it was a separate entity, but it's now been brought under the same umbrella.
So the Royal Mint experience is wholly owned by the government?
Yes, I believe so.
It's no longer a limited company or a separate business entity?
I don't believe so, but I can double check for you.
Yeah, that would be great, Liz. And I mean, you know, to save you any aggravation, would it not be worthwhile maybe asking someone and saying, look, this guy's asking questions that are far beyond me, I'm new. How about somebody with a bit of experience talking to the man?
Oh, I can more than willing to get a manager for you to speak to.
Thank you very much, Liz.
I'm more than happy to get a manager for you.
That's all right. You've been ever so helpful.
Not a problem at all. Thank you. 2 moments. Hello.
Hello. Who am I talking to, please?
Right, you're talking to Hayley.
Hello, Hayley.
Please, hiya. Can I just take your name, please, as Elizabeth wasn't aware of who she was speaking to?
Yeah, my name's Ian Lambert. I'm the guy that set the competition. I'm the guy on the video in glasses.
Right, okay. Thank you, Mr. Lambert. Okay, so the conversation's been going on about the 10 pences. Is it the Great British Coin had 10p's?
It is, yes, because there's some salient and really sort of sticky points that are finding difficult to get answered, and I'm one of those people that's on the spectrum a little bit, you know, and the way that works for me is if my head doesn't understand anything, it won't leave it, and it will be there day and night until I understand it, and then it's gone. So of all my issues with the Mint that I've had over the last 2 years, this is an area that I literally cannot understand. If the Royal Mint were instructed by the Treasury to make a certain amount of 2018 10p coins. And as far as I understand, that was either 210 or 220,000 of each coin. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, so the Treasury get you to do a job in the factory, which is behind the Royal Mint shop, and then you make those coins. And how many was the figure? Was it 210 or 220?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay, let's just call it 210. So they ask you to make 210 of every single letter. You make them, and you put 210,000 of every single letter onto the lorry as per your contract, and then that goes off to a cash handling centre.
Okay.
That money then has to get distributed to post offices and banks all over the country. When I was at the Royal Mint Experience, the Royal Mint Experience manageress tells me that the Royal Mint shop get their coins from the post office and the bank just like everybody else. Exactly what Liz just told me, as it happens.
Yeah.
But there was about 20 of us there, and we absolutely rinsed the tills by going and buying a postcard for £1 and getting 5-10p's in the change. Buy another postcard for £1, get 5-10p's in the change. And we did that over and over and over again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over the weekend. To a point where we came back, loads of us came back with like 400 or 500 coins each. We had done it so much over the weekend. And no matter how much we did it, they just kept going out to the back cupboards and getting more and more and more and more. And they never came back with a 10p bag that wasn't A to Z's. They came back with A to Z's, every single bag, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. We watched it with our own eyes. And then the lady, when I had a conversation with her, sat there, looked me in the eye and told me they get it from the post office and the bank like everybody else. So my immediate question and answer to her was, as it would be to you, is can you tell me which bank and post office that is, please? Because every single one of us wants to go to the same place that the Royal Mint Experience goes to in order to get the same product that they get at the same price they get it. If the Royal Mint Experience is getting it from the post office and the banks at 10p a coin, we want to go and get it for 10p a coin. We've all got businesses to run too.
Okay, fair point.
So at the moment, what there is an unfair advantage over the Royal Mint Experience shop being able to fill its tills with coins that they're giving away 5 in your change. So who's going to come and shop with me? Who's going to come and shop with any decent coin dealer out there when you can go to the Royal Mint shop, you can buy a £10, £11 brand new package Stephen Hawkins or Snowman or any coin you want, Wallace and Gromit, and then get 5-10p's in your change, which are worth anywhere from £2 to £20. Your Wallace and Gromit is free and you've made a profit. So how is it possible for people like us to make a business? We can't. So that's why I put up that question. It's like there's something really dodgy and moody going on here, and nobody will answer the questions. I can't find anybody that will answer the questions apart from you two ladies, and the questions that you've answered, even though they're not in full, are more than I've got so far, if you see what I mean. Oh. Now, what bothers me the most is this bit, Hayley. For the 10p's, the Royal Mint never made any Bunce coins. There are no Bunce 10p's made. Did you know that?
Brilliant and circulated, yeah.
Right. But the Royal Mint and Change Checker and 288 Group initially sold them as Bunce. Even though they never made Bunce, they sold them as Bunce. Now, I understand the rules on if you make a package coin like Stephen Hawkins and the government says, whatever the government says about what they want or they don't want, you are legally entitled and allowed to make as many of those Stephen Hawkinses as you want for the package coin industry because they're Bunce. And as Bunce, it's illegal to then take it out of the packet and spend it. But with the 10p's, you never made any Bunce. You sold them as Bunce, but you didn't make any Bunce.
Well, we've sold them as uncirculated. We've never sold them as brilliant uncirculated.
Oh no, I've got a photograph on my phone from a customer who photographed the barcode on the back of his envelope of A to Z's, and it definitely says Bunce. It definitely says Bunce. So the Royal Mint was selling Bunce, and so was 288 Group. It was me that got 288 Group to take it off their website because they were selling bunts. So I do know that for an absolute fact.
Can you forward that to me so that I can have a look at it?
I will. If you and I get on that kind of a footing, that would be great. So here's the thing. If the Royal Mint are contracted to make a set amount of A to Zs, then the only way that they can get in your tills is one of two ways. Either some didn't quite go on the lorry, either fell off the back of the lorry, or you made extra. Now, what the other lady told me, Liz, is that you are apparently allowed to make a few extra, and this is your statement going out as to the furore that I've caused, you're allowed to make a few extra promotional coins to put in your tills. So, like, the first question is, who says you're allowed to do that? And the second question is, how many is a few? Because I know absolutely that you have, or not you, but the Royal Mint Experience has rinsed over 100,000 10p coins through their tills.
Okay.
So that's.
I don't know what Liz said to you, but the statement was saying that we supplement it with a small selection of promotional coins. It's not saying that we're allowed to make extra circulated coin and just pop them in the tills at free will. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying is happening. You see.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get someone like you to show me and prove to me that it isn't happening. I'm saying that's exactly what's happening. I'm saying the Royal Mint has made extra coins and they've just made extra. And I think the mistake that they've made is the fact that they're not bunts. Because they're not bunts, it's legal to spend them, which means you can put them in your tills. And that means you're making copies. And if you're making copies of our money, just carbon copies as opposed to bunts, then that interferes with the economy. And if that interferes with the economy, then that could come down to treason. So it's quite a big thing that I'm bringing up here. And that's why I want to have this conversation, you see, Hayley.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's not happening, but I understand how it seems to you from being in the Royal Mint Experience, and you would like an explanation. I totally get that.
Right.
So I think the best thing for us to do is if I give you my email address, and if you can put it all in an email, so everything that we've discussed, all your concerns, and what we'll do is I'll take that, including that barcode picture if you've got it, which would be handy, and I can take that, and I can get you an official statement for every one of your questions, so that we're actually on sort of a level playing field, we know, because otherwise you're calling into customer service who just deal with, where's my coin, where's my delivery, and they're not the right people to give you the correct answers. So if you can email me with everything you need, and we'll take it stage by stage.
I would.
At the end of it, yeah.
I would, but
you'll be satisfied with every explanation.
The problem is, Hayley, I would, but the problem is I've been trying to deal with the Royal Mint for 2 years. I've been trying to deal with McDade, Chris Hinson, your head of legal, and so on. I've had lies told me, and they're actually provable lies told me by Chris Hinson, your head of legal, and McDade, your boss. Nobody that I've ever spoken to by email has been honest with me. Nobody has ever communicated with me properly, pardon me. And it's now got to the point where I'm looking at, other ways of dealing with it. So I set this question, and I want to make it nice and easy. I want to be able to make it nice and easy. I actually, if I can give $5,000 away to somebody for going, yeah, that's it, that's the answer, then that settles it in my head, and I haven't got any complaint against the Royal Mint. But you're the first person I've ever been able to have a proper conversation with, and I don't really want to let you go now I'm having a proper conversation with you. Do you know what I mean? Because you're being, it feels to me like you're being honest, and if you don't know, you're saying you don't know, and I prefer that.
Yeah.
So
that's the only way to be. There's no point, it's not in anyone's interest to blag, so we may as well be full on honest and be upfront. So if you're asking me a question, I'll tell you I don't know the answer, but I'll get it for you.
Okay, if we could go back to what you read out in that letter there, just so as I've got the wording right, it's something about a few selected promotional ones you make for the till. What was that bit say?
Okay, so that what Liz would have said to you is the tills in the Royal Mint Experience are supplied by the bank.
The tills in the Royal Mint Experience are supplied by the bank. Is anybody prepared to tell us which bank?
I couldn't tell you which bank. I can ask the question. I don't know if it's
yes, please.
actually any particular bank. It could just be a general statement that we supplied by the banks the same as everybody else. Whether we're supplied by one bank all the time or supplied by a variety, I don't know. But by all means, you can ask the question and I can tell you whether we can give you the answer if we establish the answer.
Well, you see, even that one would be really easy, because as complicated as that sounds, it's a nice and easy one. If you get your coins from the bank or the post office, that means one of two things. That means either somebody from the Royal Mint experience is doing what a lot of us business owners do and physically getting in their car, going to the bank and picking up the bags of change that they need from the bank, just like everybody else. Or they have a deal with the bank where the bank, because they're ordering so much coin, the bank delivers it to them. Now, here's the issue. Regardless of whether somebody from the Royal Mint experience goes to the bank and picks it up, or regardless of whether or not the bank delivers it to you. Have you watched this video, by the way?
I haven't, no, but I will. Once you finish the call, I will.
Okay, so the money goes from the factory to the change centre. When it goes into the change centre, it goes to the back of the warehouse. It's not going to be put in front of all the 10p's that have been sitting in that warehouse. It's going to go to the back. It's all going to be ordered. It's all going to be checked and double checked and triple checked, and everything's going to be stacked in order, so that the oldest money, whatever's in that warehouse, will go out the front door first. But somehow these A to Z coins have hit the back of the warehouse, and then they've mysteriously overtaken the 2017s and the 2016 stock that's still in that warehouse, and they've gone to the front of the warehouse where they've gone and been delivered just normally cash delivery by the cash centre, no special treatment for the mint. It's gone and been delivered to a bank, and it just so happens to be the bank that the Royal Mint go to buy their change. Can you see how ridiculous this is starting to look?
Okay.
There's no way on earth you can put 18s in the back of that warehouse, is there? And have them leapfrog over the rest of the coins that were in that warehouse. They're going to go to the back. They're never going to go to the front, are they? They're always going to go to the back. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, what do you think?
So you're asking me personally to agree or disagree with you when I don't know how they are stocked when they get there. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know how you would know that, but I mean, maybe you do. I genuinely don't know, so I couldn't comment on that.
I'll tell you what. How about this? Would you very much mind, because I'm really not trying to cause you a problem. I do have an issue with the Royal Mint and the way that they've conducted their business, especially the way that they've hampered mine for the last 2 years. So I do have a gripe with the Mint, but certainly not with you individual guys who are working. At the end of the day, you get up and go to work just like we do. Is there any chance, Hayley, that you would be prepared to come off the phone now, go and watch that video? It's only 8 minutes long or something like that, and then phone me back, because the questions I'm asking, I couldn't lay it out in any more layman's terms than I have in that video. And there is no one that can answer that question so far.
Okay.
Would you give me your word you'll call me back?
Of course I will, yeah.
Okay, my phone number is...
Right, okay. Well, I'm going to go and watch it.
Please, thank you.
Now, I've got a meeting, so I'm not going to ring you straight back, but I will ring you back within the next 2 hours. Is that okay?
Yep, and by all means, if you need to refer it to a superior, please do, to get their take on it, so that when you come back to me, you can actually answer it. Because when I talk about the back of the warehouse and all the rest of it, on the phone it sounds a bit daft, but when you look at what I've given you as the example on the video, it is impossible how anybody can not understand that.
Okay, all right, okay. Leave it with me. Let me go. Let me see what I can do. So the questions that you want answered are in that video. In that video,
yeah. It's a two-part question.
Okay.
The two-part question is, how do they get from the back of the warehouse to the front of the warehouse? That's the first part of the question. And then how do those A to Zs actually end up in the Royal Mint experience tills if, as everybody is telling us and telling you, if they really do leave the factory, go to a cash handling centre, and that cash handling centre feeds the banks and post offices like anybody else, and you, the Royal Mint, just happen to be ever so lucky with the bank that you get your stuff from. Because what you're opening, they come in £100 bags, as you know. And out of those bags, every single bag inside is an A to Z bag. Now, there is none of us in the country that collect coins, dealing coins, coin tubers, whatever. There are none of us in the entire country that can go into a single post office and get one single full bag. But the Royal Mint has had hundreds and hundreds of full bags. And the lady that runs the Royal Mint, Mint experience says they come from the bank and the post office like everybody else. And it's not true.
All right. Okay. Leave it with it. Where am I going to find this video? Is it YouTube?
Yeah, I just gave you it to search. Did you find it? Or I gave it to Thingy to search. I'll give it to you now.
Give it to me then. Yeah, give it to me.
Okay. Are you in front of a computer?
I'm going to write it down. I am by a computer, but I'm on Liz's computer, so I don't want to do anything on hers. But I'll write it down and I'll go away.
Okay, so if you write this down, so £, 5, comma, and 000, so £5,000. Coin and tuber, 2 words.
Coin, tuber, yeah.
Tuber/collector challenge.
So is it coin tuber, then tuber/collector, or is it coin tuber?
£5,000 coin tuber/collector challenge.
Collector challenge. Okay.
And then right on the front of it, you know you can't miss it, because on the front of it, it says, instead of saying #Royal Mint, it says #Royal Mafia.
Right, okay, all right. Leave it with me. Let me go and have a look at it. Let me understand what your questions are. I think I know now anyway, but let me go and have a look at it. Let me go and speak to the relevant people, and I'll come back to you. I'm going to aim to come back to you within 2 hours. But it may be a little bit later, depending on how long, but I will definitely come back to you before I finish today at 4:30.
That'll be absolutely fantastic. And you'll see all I use is a plastic tub, a box of roses, a banana cake, a little toy lorry, and a box of eggs. And I explain it all in that.
Okay. All right, leave it with me. I should go and have a look, and I'll come back to you before the end of the day.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Thank you, Hayley. Bye-bye. So there we go. It's been 24 hours, and I haven't had a phone call back yet. If I get another phone call back, I'll keep you updated. So even though this seems to answer the question, it doesn't answer the question, because what they're saying as an official statement is that they make a small selection of promotional coins, make them extra to fill their tills. But what is classed as small? Is 1,000 coins classed as small? Is 10,000 coins classed as small? Is 100,000 coins classed as small? If 100,000 coins is classed as small, what would constitute large? What would constitute extra large? What would constitute medium? So we are getting deeper into it. We are sort of making headway in ways, because it's narrowing. It feels to me like it's narrowing. It's like, you know, the answers to these questions, we're getting there. So if you think that it's still all above board at the Royal Mint and I'm talking a load of hot air, then ignore all my videos. But if you think that this really is looking like there's something in it, and of all the other things I've talked about, the cartel, the monopoly and all the rest of it, you know, it's nothing compared to this issue, or this issue, nothing compared to them. It's like there's so many big issues. Big issue, so many issues. Anyway, support us, the crowdfunder. Go to crowdfunder.co.uk. At the moment of doing this video, we're on page 6, although if you look in the description, you should have the link to the crowdfunder campaign, and help us fight the Mint and 288 group. Because now what we've got, if the whole Mint and the Mint experience and the Royal Mint Limited is all a solely owned, wholly owned companies, wholly owned by the Treasury, which is the latest information I've got, then what you have is a government-run department feeding one single solitary retailer. And they're making £37 million a year out of it, or whatever they're making. Now, isn't that the kind of story that's been going on for years? I mean, for as long as I can remember, involves politicians and setting up company departments and feeding all the business to one person and, you know, let's make a monopoly and let's make loads of money. It's all looking rather dodgy, and, you know, no matter what people say about me, Marmite or not, I'm not wrong with what I'm saying. So even though the question has been answered by the Royal Mint, it hasn't been answered. Not in the least bit has it been answered. Because they're saying that they buy some back from the Treasury. Well, if they buy some back, there'll be a paper trail for that. And if they're not buying them back from the Treasury and they're putting them on, making extra ones, then they're making extra ones and therefore they're carbon copies, because they're not the ones that the Treasury demanded to go into circulation. They're extra ones that are going into circulation. And as far as I'm aware, you can't make a single coin extra to go into circulation than the Treasury has told you to make. So there we go. Keep your support coming, please. Please keep sharing, and please keep subscribing, and let people know. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.